While digging in her backyard, Agnes's spade hit something hard beneath the earth. She paused, her heart quickening. After living alone in her creaky old Victorian house for over 40 years, Agnes had come to expect surprises from the past, but this felt different. She crouched down, sweeping aside the soil with trembling hands, revealing a rusted iron chest, its edges jagged and weathered with time. The chest had an ornate, ancient look, as though it had been buried there for centuries. Her arthritic fingers worked clumsily, but determination drove her to pry it open. With a groan, the lid creaked back, releasing a stale, earthy odor. Inside was not treasure, but something far stranger. A pile of old photographs, black and white, yellowed at the edges. There were faces, dozens of them. Men, women, and children, all dressed in somber clothing from bygone eras. Their expressions were stern, rigid, as was the custom in old portraits, but there was something horribly wrong. Agnes brought the first photograph close to her face, squinting in the dim light of the setting sun. The woman in the picture wore a long lace gown. Her hair was pinned neatly, and a slight smile touched her lips. But her left eye, there was only an empty black void where it should have been. A chill shot down Agnes's spine. She shuffled through more photographs, faster now, her heart pounding louder with each passing second. Each face she saw, young and old alike, was missing the same eye, always the left, always a hollow, black nothingness in its place. Her breath hitched when she saw a photo of a young girl, no more than 6 years old, clutching a rag doll. The doll, too, had no left eye. Agnes's mind raced. These were her ancestors. She recognized them from stories passed down in her family: the stern matriarch on the mantel, the great uncle who fought in the war, the long-lost cousin who vanished without a trace. But none of the family tales ever mentioned this strange affliction. Why were all their left eyes missing? Suddenly, a gust of wind picked up, swirling around her as the sky darkened overhead. The air grew thick, heavy with a sense of foreboding. A deep, guttural voice, barely above a whisper, seemed to drift on the wind. Return what was taken. Agnes staggered back, her heart racing. The voice, had she imagined it? She glanced down at the chest again, her hands trembling as she noticed something she had missed earlier. In the bottom of the chest, beneath the photographs, was a small wooden box. It was intricately carved, with a symbol she didn't recognize etched into its surface. With great caution, she lifted it out and opened it. Inside were dozens of tiny, round objects. Her stomach lurched as she realized what they were: glass eyes. Agnes's breath caught in her throat. Each glass eye was different, some cloudy with age, others still eerily lifelike. They were arranged neatly, as though they had been waiting for her. At the very center of the box lay a note, written in delicate, spidery handwriting.
To restore what was lost, return the one that belongs to you.
Her fingers trembled as she reached into the box. A strange compulsion overtook her, and she found herself picking up the smallest eye, a clear, pale blue one that seemed to glimmer in the fading light. Suddenly, the world around her shifted, the ground beneath her feet trembled, and the sky seemed to press down, growing darker still. A sense of overwhelming dread filled her, but she couldn't stop. Agnes felt drawn, as if some ancient force were compelling her to finish what had begun long ago. With a deep breath, she placed the glass eye back into the chest alongside the photographs. Instantly, a cold gust of wind surged through the air, and the chest snapped shut with a violent clank. The earth beneath it groaned, as though swallowing it back into the ground. Agnes stumbled back, her heart hammering. The wind ceased, and the weight of the strange encounter lifted, leaving her alone once more in the quiet of her backyard. She glanced down, realizing the box of glass eyes had vanished with the chest. But in her hands, clutched tightly, was the smallest photograph, the one of the little girl with the missing eye. Only now, the girl's face had changed. She smiled up at Agnes, her eyes, both of them, shining with life. Agnes dropped the photograph, trembling. The curse had been lifted. But deep in her bones, she knew this was not the end. The old house, Her family's long history, there were more secrets buried here.
And this was just the beginning.